As this last year has well and truly proven, just when you think you've seen it all, another bunch of movies inevitably comes along and leaves you utterly stunned, horrified, or punching the air with joy. And while you may think you're prepared for what 2024 has to offer, these 10 incoming movies all look destined to leave you shaking your heads in disbelief. So I'm Gareth, this is What Culture, and here are 10 more upcoming movies you are not ready for. Number 10, Mickey 17. The wonderful Bong Joon-ho isn't what you call the most prolific movie director working in the business today. But when the mind behind the likes of Snowpiercer, Okja, and Mother does commit himself to a new project, something special and hugely unexpected arriving in theaters down the road is almost always guaranteed. And after not helming a flick since his Oscar-winning black comedy thriller Parasite stunned audiences back in 2019, Joon-ho will return with his latest dive into the sci-fi genre in 2024. Starring the likes of Robert Pattinson, Mark Ruffalo, Toni Collette, Steven Yeun, and Naomi Aki, this epic cast will help tell Mickey 17's tale. A figure described as an expendable employee in the middle of a human expedition to colonize a new world. It's all based on the Mickey 7 novel written by Edward Ashton, with the death of every Mickey leading to another being cloned and taking its place, and that new figure possessing the majority of the memories of its predecessor. That balmy concept, combined with an absolutely stacked cast and a Joon-ho at the peak of his powers, looks like a recipe for gripping success and an expedition unlike anything you've seen before on March 29th, 2024. Now I want to know, what was your favourite sci-fi movie of 2023? You let me know in the comment section down below. Number 9, Deadpool 3. If you weren't already sold on the idea of a returning Hugh Jackman finally making his big screen debut in the bright yellow Wolverine suit, then news of just about every superhero involved in a Fox Marvel property possibly showing up for the threequel will have likely done enough to convince you that Deadpool 3 is an event not to be missed. And it's also shaping up to be one that includes a version of Wolvie that no one has ever seen before. That's according to Jackman himself, who noted on Who's Talking to Chris Wallace back in January that the dynamic between his Logan and Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a Mouth was something he'd never done before and couldn't wait to get stuck into. Add in director Sean Levy's comments on his picture being raw, audacious, very much R-rated, and more a descendant of Midnight Run, 48 Hours, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles than it is a descendant of Airplane, and you have the makings of one of the boldest movies in MCU history. So prepare for more wonderful fourth wall breaking, and some truly outrageous exchanges between this mutant odd couple, when the MCU's first ever R-rated flick lands in theaters on July 26, 2024. Number 8, Inside Out 2. It's safe to say that not a single soul on this planet was ready for the emotional rollercoaster that was Pixar's Inside Out when it first landed in cinemas back in 2015. Oh, we are getting old, aren't we? Telling the story of Riley and the distinct emotions sitting within her mind, this coming-of-age animation had folks laughing their asses off at Anger losing his head over no dessert one moment, to sobbing into their popcorn over the death of Bing Bong the next. And with the long-awaited follow-up to that first moving tale of joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear finally being released on June 14, 2024, it looks like things are set to get somewhat emotional again sooner rather than later, whether you're ready or not. On top of the aforementioned established ways of feeling, Riley's mind will also be introduced to a bunch of new emotions this time around, as the first look at Inside Out 2 revealed that things like anxiety will be joining the gang in a few months' time. In other words, as noted by returning star Amy Powler, the puberty button introduced towards the end of that first feature is well and truly being pushed this time around, with the sequel set to explore that deeply uncomfortable period when new emotions begin to pop up as a teenager. Wonderful. Number 7, The Bike Riders. It's been way too long since viewers have had the chance to watch Tom Hardy growl in a gritty piece of drama on the big screen. The Bike Riders will see Hardy star alongside other brilliant talents like Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, and Michael Shannon in Jeff Nichols' latest project. The story that was inspired by Danny Lyon's 1967 photo book looking at the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, also called The Bike Riders, centers around a fictional Chicago motorcycle club. And as Comer's Kathy becomes romantically involved with Butler's Benny, it soon becomes clear that this is far more than just a bunch of blokes going for a leisurely ride a few times a week, as the gang become involved in criminal activity. Some reviews are already suggesting this is a return to form for Hardy in particular, with the star being compared to Marlon Brando after his magnetic performance alongside a Comer and Butler, who appear to have knocked it out of the park too. Throw in a few rumbling bikes and an impactful story full of romance and brutality, and it looks like very few will be entirely ready for when these vandals ride into town. Number 6. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It may have only been 6 years since the conclusion of the terrific Caesar-led Planet of the Apes flicks, but that still hasn't stopped 20th Century Studios from swinging right back into the world of talking apes. Pitched as Apocalypto with apes, according to the flick's director Wes Ball. After that hugely emotional finale to the aforementioned gripping trilogy, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will jump into the action around 300 years after those earlier movies. Owen Teague's Noah will lead the adventure this time around, as humans now find themselves in a feral state, as the villain of the tale looks for human technology to get his stinking paws on. And with Ball also looking to inject a little Star Wars energy into this particular quest, it's safe to say viewers are in for a slightly different simian experience when this kingdom comes on May 24, 2024. Oh, and just a quick one to say thank you for checking out this video today. If you enjoy what you're seeing, then hit that subscribe button down below if you're ready. Number 5. Nosferatu. Anyone who has sat through a Robert Eggers feature will already be aware of the fact this director knows a thing or two about disturbing his audience. But if you haven't experienced things like his frequently quite creepy The Lighthouse and The Northman tales, and feel like giving his upcoming take on Nosferatu a go, then brace yourself for the fright of your life when it arrives in cinemas on Christmas Day 2024. 'Tis the season. In this latest remake of the 1922 blood-sucking tale directed by F.W. Murnau, Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård, will be fanging up as the vampire Count Orlok. Eggers himself has already explained how he felt there hadn't been a properly scary gothic flick in a while, and how he believes most viewers will be utterly terrified by what is heading their way next year. Number 4. The Fall Guy. Starring Ryan Gosling as the titular bloke taking tumbles for a living, this past his best stuntman finds himself searching for the actor he's doubling for on a movie before the flick he's shooting with his ex-girlfriend director is shut down. The wonderful Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Emily Blunt occupy said A-list star and first-time director roles respectively, and as seen in the film's exhilarating official trailer, not only will this be an explosive, stunt-heavy adaptation of the 80s TV show of the same name, it also appears to be boasting a Gosling at his somewhat silly nice guy's best. It's safe to assume the same bloke who brought us Deadpool 2 and Bullet Train will have a few more pulsating surprises up his sleeve too. So buckle up for yet another hilarious and striking couple of hours when this one crashes into your life on March 3rd, 2024. Number 3. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. It may have taken what feels like a lifetime to get here, but the long-awaited prequel to George Miller's outstanding Mad Max Fury Road is almost here, folks. And from the looks of that first trailer, it may just be worth said wait. Swapping out the powerhouse duo of Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy for the equally mesmerizing Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, as Furiosa tries to make her way back home to the green place of many mothers she was taken from as a youngster. This odyssey will eventually see her come into contact with a prosthetic nose-donning Hemsworth as the charismatic warlord Dementus, leader of a biker horde and a figure the Thor star has also described as a very violent, insane, brutal person who is born from the wasteland. Prepare to have your mind melted once more when Furiosa comes to town on May 24, 2024. Number 2. Alien Romulus. After looking like Ridley Scott was beginning to slowly revive an Alien franchise that had well and truly fallen off the rails post-Aliens, the director's Alien Covenant follow-up to prequel Prometheus appeared to have spat acid in the face of the series once again. Now though, the same Fede Alvarez who brought the likes of the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe to screens is on the verge of unleashing the latest installment in the franchise, and things actually look quite promising for his Alien Romulus flick. On top of being a pure standalone story, focusing on a group of young people trying to keep from having their faces hugged by their horrifying xenomorph, the fact Scott himself, a producer on the film and usually a pretty tough critic, has already described the incoming alien horror as effing great to Alvarez, after watching the director's cut, points to a potential return to form for the series. So hopefully this means on August 16th, 2024, in cinemas everyone will hear you scream. And number 1, Challengers. Bringing together the mind behind sensual romantic pictures like Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All, and the young stars of projects like Euphoria, The Crown and West Side Story almost guarantees viewers are in for a passionate, unpredictable, and rather sexy few hours when Challengers grunts into theaters on April 26, 2024. Here, Zendaya will take on the part of rising Grand Slam tennis star Tashi, a sports person involved in a love triangle with Josh O'Connor's Patrick and Mike Face Art. As expected, things get a touch tricky and intense as this particular game unfolds, with the stars of the flick noting how director Luca Guadagnino was less interested in the ins and outs of tennis when shooting the project, and more curious about the bodies and sweat. And if the first trailer for the incoming romantic sports dramedy is anything to go by, expect more tension than you can likely bear, some of the sexiest tennis you ever did see, and as noted by the director himself, 3 beautifully complex and really effed up people. What's not to love, eh?